What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Stories and Songs podcast. I'm Tim Asher, host, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming my friend Cory Folz to the podcast. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's I've been excited to have you on. I've had some great people on, and you were in my short list. I feel like I say that to everybody, honestly. You were in my top 10 to come on, but as you know, I know everybody.
Yep.
And I'm kind of, Jimmy D. Talent says I'm the Kevin Bacon of the music scene. I'm like attached to everybody somehow.
6 degrees.
Yeah.
6
well,
degrees
I think it's
of
like
ash.
4 degrees for me, man.
4 degrees
it's
of
so
ash.
thick. It's crazy. But yeah, man, it's such a privilege and honor to have you on today. We've been spending the last almost hour already talking and doing stuff, and I'm going to officially announce Cory's coming back at the end of the year, and we're going to do a different kind of podcast. And I think you're all going to dig it. So, all right, man, you good?
Yeah, ready to go.
Awesome. All right. So currently you're playing with Brick Briscoe, who I'm trying to get to come on the podcast still. He's as busy as I am.
Absolutely.
Brick Briscoe and the Skinny. That's hard to say.
Yeah, guess which part I'm a part
You're
of.
the Skinny, I bet.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you just had your album, I Love You So Much, I Do Love You So Much, is on all streaming platforms?
Yes, it is. Yes,
When did that release?
It released in September of 2021, and we had to kind of back off of promoting it and the like due to some health things that Brick encountered.
Yeah.
That took about a year, and yeah.
He's through those woods, though, now,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, awesome. I think I gave him a standing desk at some point during that process. That desk on top of his desk?
Yeah.
I gave that to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man.
He really is, and he's got his fingers in all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about some of the things that I'm involved with.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you also play with Cynthia Murray in the End Times.
Yes.
Cynthia is on the short list to be in here. We haven't booked a date, but it's down for the summer.
She's so good.
And Stephen Horning.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I actually had to cancel him next Wednesday because I'm going to Nashville on my trip. It kind of came up, but he's like, bro, it's cool. I'm really busy anyway. I feel like we're all just really busy right now, which is a good thing.
It is. Yeah. After COVID, it took a while for those wheels to start turning, but those of us that kept going through COVID, now we're seeing the benefits, I guess.
Yeah, man. Even me, because I was in my garage during COVID doing live streams. I actually had all these pallets set up in my garage and doing live streams during COVID. And then when we came out of it, I started gigging again. And somewhere along the way, I had to have shoulder surgery. So somewhere along the way, I was just like, I think I want to sit down and talk to other people and create this platform where I can help everybody else.
Yeah.
And just kind of give back for a while and use my knowledge and my platform to help everybody else. And I'm finding, that knowledge is real thin, and I'm learning more than I'm giving away.
I think that's a part of maturity, is realizing that the more you know, the less you understand and
That's right.
and truly know.
100%.
Yeah. You just get to a point where, especially as men our age, of trying to break free of the, okay, I do this one specific thing really well, I'm just going to ride that out forever. And those of us that find growth, get out of that shell.
Yeah, you have to, right? I mean, I wish I could take, my son is 25, and I tell him that all the time. He's like, Dad, he doesn't say it out loud, but I can just hear it in his head. You don't really know as much as you think you know. And I'm like, that's the key.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
But at 25, I knew everything.
Yeah.
So,
but there's no growth without discomfort.
That's right.
I saw a rabbi give a talk about, as we get older, we are we're more hesitant to change our ways, but we should be like lobsters. So what a lobster does, it's under the water, it's under intense pressure, and it has an exoskeleton. So inside of that exoskeleton, it continues to grow over its life. And as it grows, that exoskeleton becomes small and they become very uncomfortable. So what do? They find a big rock, they bury themselves under a big rock, and they slough that so that they're naked, and they lay under that rock until they build a new exoskeleton that's larger that they can grow in. So, the whole thought is there's no growth without discomfort. You're going to be uncomfortable.
Wow,
And
man.
as we get older, I think we just get more used to that uncomfortable feeling, and we're able to move past it.
Wow. That's profound. I've never heard that before. I never knew that. But that is very profound.
Be the lobster.
Heck yeah.
Be
I
the
mean, I
lobster.
can relate to that. I feel like I've been under a rock for the last
Yeah.
8 months, 9 months.
Well, this world puts a very, very hard shell on all of us.
Yeah.
At some point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we love children so much, because they don't have that hard shell.
Yeah, they're still squishy.
They're still squishy.
As Chris Rock says.
We're not so squishy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Rock says kids are born beautiful and loving. Not so much. All right, so you also play with my good friend Drew Odd in a band called Whiskey Row.
I do.
Yeah, man.
80s and 90s country.
The best.
It was one of those situations I was not looking for another band to play with, but a mutual friend of ours was wanting to put this band together with Drew, and my name came up, and I was like, I don't think I want to take on anything else. I don't want to learn a bunch of songs. He said, well, it's 80s and 90s country. Well, in the 90s, I was playing country, popular country at the time. So I knew 3/4 of the material that we were doing.
And they're only 4 chords.
Yeah,
anyway.
really. Yeah. Yeah, and I only play one note out of those 4, each 4
I only
chords.
need a 1-string
yeah,
bass.
Yeah, I can do this
Run
all
up and
night.
down the neck.
But the clincher was us getting together and singing together. And as soon as
So I haven't heard you guys yet.
As soon as the 4 of us sang together, and did the 4, said, okay, you're taking this part, you're taking this part, you're singing the lead, and I do the high parts. I've made a career out of being able to sing soprano.
Yeah, you have.
And it was just magic. And it was like, okay, well, we're doing this, and now it's been very lucrative and has opened up a lot of doors.
Nice. Yeah. And when Drew Odd calls and says, hey, man, I'm putting a band together, you don't say no.
He's a real deal honky tonker. I mean,
Dude,
for
man,
a
I
30-year-old
love that
guy,
kid.
he is in it to win it.
Yeah, dude. A couple
He
years
knows more
ago,
Merle Haggard songs than just about anybody.
I'm telling you,
know.
man. He's truly honky tonk country. He
Mhm.
really is. A couple years ago, I was playing. No, he was playing with his buddy. Is it Brandon?
Yeah,
The kid with the long hair
Brandon
with him?
Crawford.
Yeah, they were doing an acoustic gig over here in Henderson, and I was there. I came in. I was across the street, and I saw Drew up there playing outside, and I'm like, I'm going over there.
Yeah.
So I went over there, man, and he called me up, and we started doing songs, and like an hour later, I look over, and Brandon's like, do I get to play anymore? And Drew's like, shoot, dude, sorry.
Man,
I
I'm
kept
having
you here
fun.
for an
Yeah.
hour. I'm like, dude, let's just keep going. Just bring Brandon back up here. But yeah, so then I played there a few weeks later, and I called them. I'm like, dude, I'm playing if you're not doing anything. And they came over and played, and
Oh, that's cool.
I love that guy, man.
Yeah, he really is an outstanding human and amazing musician.
Yeah, that's a dream. So I need to find out when you guys are playing. And at the end, we'll do like the whole, here's where you can find everything.
Gotcha.
So, and then we come to the Valcos.
Yes.
So I had our brother from another mother, Dave Flick, on a few weeks ago. His podcast will be up before yours. And he is another wonderful human being and
Yep.
just monster singer and guitar player.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've been playing with Dave for about 5 years now. When I started with the Valcos, it was a different drummer and a different guitar player singer. The guitar player singer left after about 6 months, and Dave's was the first name that popped into my head. So we got a hold of Dave. And,
Yeah, and you had to fill some big shoes in that band.
Yeah, I took over for Mike Mitchell. Mike called me on a Saturday night that I happened to have off, and said, "Hey, I'm leaving this band, and I think you can do the job. They need a singing bass player."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I do about a third of the material, and they need somebody that can front a bit and play bass." And he said, "I've got 6 months worth of gigs." lined up, you know,
So you could just pop in and
just pop
do
in
the deal.
and did it. Yeah, that's what we did at the time. I was looking for a little extra work.
Yeah.
And now it's been 7 years with Dennis Johnson, our lead guitar player, who's just
Another great singer and guitar player.
yeah, monster slide player, just lead guitar player extraordinaire. And now Brian Glick's been with us for about 4 years.
Yeah, and Brian sings too, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so whenever I introduced Dave, I was like, yeah, so you're the lead singer and guitar player. And he's like, no, I'm just the guitar player and one of the singers in the band. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
The first time I heard you guys, I had heard you before with who knows who, but we've both been around forever.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys, I can't remember the first time we met, but it's just like for the last 20 years I've known you, you know, and it's like, I don't know where we met or how, but we've just always known each other, and it's just
We've been
always
saying
good.
we've been swimming in the same pond
Forever,
you know.
forever, man.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I heard you with the Valcos, I walk in and you guys started, is it Blue Collar Man? by Styx?
Renegade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you had just started it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I got here just in time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a killer gig. It
That's-
was when Pistons was still Pistons.
Okay. Yeah.
Way back then.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's killer. The Valcos, man.
I
You guys
love
are great.
I love playing with those guys. It kind of gets my rock and roll rocks.
Oh, yeah. And that's probably one of
Off.
those that you don't really have to think about it anymore, right?
No.
You just kind of come in and do it, and it shows when you guys play,
No.
because it's like everybody's part has their parts, and it's just flawless.
And you know, and what I found, especially with those guys, is just the honesty of, you know, if somebody's kind of feeling their oats one night and they're overplaying a little bit, somebody will look at them and go, "Oh, do you have an extra Red Bull? Because
Yeah.
you
Yeah, you got some of your own Kool-Aid on
yeah,
your
you're
lip.
playing.
Yeah.
You're playing a bit more than you probably have to."
Yeah.
They usually take the hint, and
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that myself.
Sure, we all are,
You
man.
know.
You get in there and you're feeling it. Well, we'll get to that in our
Sure.
questions. Okay, cool. So you began playing your professional career at the age of 16. You played theater shows, worship gigs, and rock and roll shows. You performed most styles of music over the course of 33 years of
Yeah.
playing, dude.
Wow.
Doesn't seem possible, does it?
No.
You've played on bills with several major recording artists and lots of festival stages, performed in 4 different countries. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And various stages in the U.S. as a bassist and a vocalist, for sure, both. You had the opportunity to open for Toya Wilcox. Is that how you
Yes,
say that? I got
yes.
it right the first time. At the Great British Alternative Music Festival. That was with Brick, right?
Yes, it was.
Brick and the Skinny.
Yep.
Open for 38 Special. That was my first concert.
Yeah.
And was a 2020 International Blues Challenge finalist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, competed with over 150 blues acts from all over the world. You've been writing and recording since you first started playing.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, there it is right there. We've been swimming in the same pool forever. So the blues act thing, the Blues Challenge finalist, was that with Bosco?
Yeah, it sure was with the Stillwell France band. So
Okay.
I got a call as most musical relationships go, especially for me as a bass player. Bass players are really, really hard to come by. There are a lot of people who play bass, but there are
Good bass players.
there
are
are
hard
very
to
few
come by.
people that have devoted their life to the instrument. You know, there's plenty of guitar players that play.
Yeah.
You know, say,
But you can't
"Oh,
call
I can
them at 4
I can-
o'clock to
I
do
can
an
play
8 o'clock
bass,"
gig.
and you know, there's keyboard players that you know. I spoke with about a 65-year-old organist today who says, you know, I don't need a bass player. I just do it all in my left hand. You know, that's where it's at. So when people have meet somebody who has devoted their life and studied the craft of bass playing, you know, it's a different experience.
Sure.
You know, the best bass players aren't really noticed, but everybody sounds better.
Yeah. You're laying down the backbeat for everything.
A friend of mine gave me a kind of a left-handed compliment one time. He says, "You know what's great about having you in the band is you make everybody else sound better."
That's the truth.
And I could have taken that as, well, I don't sound good, so you sound better. But you know, I took it as, okay, you know the job,
yeah.
and just just do the job.
Yeah, and that's you to a T, man. I mean, everybody I've talked to about if you've ever come up in a conversation, the first thing they say is what we've said about all these guys. He's a great human being. But then they say, and as far as bass players go, Cory Folz and John Rockner, and that's it. That's the line.
John and I have been friends since I was 19 years old. I took a couple months worth of lessons. He taught me the Nashville number system when I was 19.
Nice.
I'd started to get into country music a little bit, and we were both teaching at a local music store. Of course, I was teaching the beginners, and he was teaching.
Were you at the Musicians Den back then?
No, this was Dallas Music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That was a
Dallas
long
Music
time
and
ago.
Pro Sound. Yeah, back when Kevin Book and Jeff Ennis and Bruce Jeffries were behind the counter. And
Kevin Book, man.
yeah,
Another monster right
he
there.
was a big driving force in my career, a super cool mentor of
Just
mine.
a super cool guy.
He would pack us
Singers.
around when he had Chet and the Molesters with Nick Hamilton and Chet Harger, and I believe Dennis Kemper was the other guitar player, and Kevin. Just amazing band. Well, they thought it was cute, us 16, 17, 18-year-old kids trying to be rock and rollers. So they would pack us to gigs, and they would let us play a set. You know, we'd play 40, 45 minutes before them.
Nice.
And
I never knew that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you know, that kind of helped propel some things and get us seen and get us known in the local
Who was
scene.
doing that with you?
That was Teacher's Pet. So Jason Lee McKinney on drums.
Okay.
Tim Smith on guitar and Jim Kinney on guitar.
Nice.
And then I fronted the band
And
with my
played bass.
Mhm.
Nice. I've done that a few times. It's hard to be the back wheels and the hood ornament at the same time.
Yeah, I've never asked to be the front man in any band I've ever played in. It's always just been,
It just happened.
okay, you're gonna sing the songs.
Well, you're kind of one of those guys. Like, I mean, I remember the Eagles, the whole 7-hour documentary they put out, and where Glenn Fry said, "Why would anybody else need to sing when you have Don Henley in the band?"
Yeah.
It's the same with you, man. You're such a good singer that it's like, okay, if nobody else can sing, Cory can cover it, and we'll just let him sing it all.
You know, I suffer from imposter syndrome just like most musicians. The only thing that kind of assuages me and makes me comfortable doing that is looking around the room and realizing that, you know, here are great players that I love and trust. And if they've asked me to do this, it doesn't matter what I think about
They believe
my
in you.
abilities. You know, they're putting themselves out there by saying, yeah, go ahead and sing Renegade.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and do
Not
stuff
that that's
like
a hard
that.
song to sing or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those that it has to be placed just right in the sets, and I'm not doing it twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to be mid set.
Yeah.
Before you do some other things.
Yeah, let
but
me get warmed up
after
a little bit
A little
and-
bit of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Anything by Tommy Shaw would be that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, look around the room. Just look around the room. If like playing with Cynthia Murray in the End Times, you know, they were playing with just amazing musicians, and you look around, you go, oh man, pinch me.
Sometimes you go, how did I get here?
Why in the hell am I in this room? Well, you know, you just got to trust them.
Yeah.
You know, they invited you into their space for a reason, and it's none of your business why that is.
Right. Just be there and be you.
Yep.
That's right, man. That's
Don't,
good.
Don't be a butthole.
That's right. Yeah, that's the main thing. For me, it was always, you got to be a good hang.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I always had my name, like we talked earlier, on the bill. So it was up to me to make sure everybody was going to be a good hang for everybody else. And then I had to check myself at the door and go, make sure you're a good hang, because you're the one paying everybody and you're the one leading the show. So,
How many like incredibly good musicians do you know that are less than good human beings that complain? They get on social media. Nobody will play with me.
Well, that's
Nobody.
it. Not very many that play out very much.
Why can't I keep a band? Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Bosco calls that lead singer syndrome.
yeah.
Like a lot of singers have LSD. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, you don't have it. You've never had it.
Somebody told me once if you go into a yard and you smell dog poop, and you leave that yard and you go into the second yard and you smell dog poop, and then you leave that yard and you go into the third yard and you still smell dog poop, it's not the yards that smell like dog poop.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's profound.
Just don't be a butthole.
Yeah. You're smelling your own stuff. That's good. That's really good. Awesome. All right, man. Well, there's your introduction.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
20 minutes later. I didn't set a timer.
I'm like that.
Yeah, me too. My wife's usually like when Jimmy came and Dave came, she's like, make sure you set your timer because you guys will talk forever, but we beat it already. So, all right. So I give these, I call them shotgun questions just to get us started. And I'm finding like people post on my social media and they're like, dude, I love the shotgun questions. Keep doing those. So here we go.
All right.
All right. Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Tea or coffee?
Both.
Okay.
Coffee in the morning, tea
in the
evening.
And what are you drinking today?
I'm just drinking cheap.
Just regular cheap tea?
Yeah, I'm just drinking cheap.
I should have told you I got a Keurig with really good tea. All right, here's an important one. Van Halen or Van Hagar?
Oh, God. Van Halen.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Just
explanation?
Attitude. I thought I connected the live in New Haven, Connecticut concert. My brother and I, being the MTV generation, we'd gotten a VCR and we recorded that live in New Halen is what they called it.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And I must have watched that 200 times. But yeah, I saw them on their last tour with Dave, and it was just...
Yeah, 1984?
Yeah. No, it was the very last tour that they did, and Dave was actually incredible.
Oh, a few years ago?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's been...
Because I saw him on the 1984
probably
tour.
5 or 6. No, I didn't get that chance.
Yeah. So Van Halen.
Yeah.
All right. Hot weather or cold weather?
Hot weather. Yeah, skinny guy is not equipped for Indiana winters.
I hear you.
Yep.
I hear you, man. Glass half full or glass half empty kind of guy?
Full.
Kind of have to be in our profession, right?
Yeah, yeah. And on top of that, I manage a music store, so I'm told no over and over and over and over. And in the music industry, you're told no over and over and
Resilience.
over. That, you have to be a glass half full.
Yeah.
To just keep coming back to be kicked again.
Yeah, we have leather skin at age 49 and 50, don't we?
It is music business, not music personal.
That's right. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, and this episode is actually sponsored by More Music today, everybody.
Excellent.
So go check them out for your new guitars and basses and everything. And we're working on a deal, so we'll see.
Very cool.
But go check out More Music. All right. Who is your favorite front man or front woman lead singer of all time? If you could only pick one.
If I could only pick one, Prince.
Awesome. Good answer.
Yeah.
If you could pick 5, who would they be? And they don't have to be in order.
Okay. Prince, definitely Robert Plant, Chris Robinson, 80s John Bon Jovi, and Merle Haggard.
Nice. Nice. I grew up wanting to be 80s John Bon Jovi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now here's a more important one. Favorite bassist of all times?
Hugh McDonald.
Okay. Who is he with?
Bon Jovi.
Hugh McDonald, who's with him now?
Yes.
Okay.
So he played, Alec John Such only played on 3 tracks.
Okay.
That appeared on Bon Jovi records. Hugh McDonald was never credited. He was a studio guy in New Jersey that they would bring in to record all those bass lines. So when I first started playing at the age of 14, 15, I was totally into that. You listen to songs like "Living on a Prayer" and
"Keep the Faith."
Yeah, and it was bass lines that were more than just pumping eighth notes.
Yeah.
and it wasn't Jamerson, it wasn't McCartney. It had a bit
It was
more
its own
attitude.
flair.
Yeah, it was his own.
That's part of what gave Bon Jovi its sound, but people don't really get that.
Yeah.
They think it's Richie and John, but
Well,
no,
and
there's more
there
there.
again, you know, it's the difference between listening to bassists and just listening to a track.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
you got Tico Torres laying it down, man.
Yes.
Okay, so I got to know this then. So Hugh McDonald, because I'm a massive Bon Jovi fan. Hugh McDonald played all the stuff. When Alec left, they hired him as their bass player.
Yes, and he's still not a member, although he has been with the band
Playing live
with them and recorded
weird.
everything with
But
them.
look at Phil X. He's been there for, 7 years
Yeah,
now, and he's
yeah.
still not a member.
Yeah, and never will be.
Because Bon Jovi's a corporation.
Daryl Jones with the Rolling Stones. He's
Yeah.
been with them since, like 92, something like 91, 92.
Mhm.
Still,
I think that's a business thing, though.
it's completely a business
At
decision.
some point, it become like Bon Jovi was its own machine by the time Hugh McDonald came in, and
Yeah.
Phil X. So I think it's just a business choice to go, this is already this, and we own all of this, and we're not going to give you any of this.
Yeah.
So going forward, we're just going to pay you this to be this.
I've been asked that question, you know, who's your biggest influence several times in interviews. And usually when I say Hugh McDonald, they're like, who is that?
I knew I'd heard the name, but I didn't know that's who
Yeah,
he is.
that's him.
But that's sad. It should be known who
Yeah,
he is.
oh, absolutely.
Hugh McDonald. Go look him up, people. He's a great bass player, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing. He can't make John sing any better anymore.
No,
And that's
no.
a whole other podcast.
But that's okay. You know,
he did what he did.
we're allowed to age.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if it's all age though. I don't know. There's some theories on the internet. You know, do you watch Justin Hawkins at all? You know who he is?
No.
He's the lead singer for The Darkness.
Okay. No,
Justin
yeah.
Hawkins Rides Again. Shout out Justin. We should do a podcast together. He has a YouTube channel and he talks about that stuff. And people actually send him questions and go, hey, can you cover this? Because we want to know. And he talked about John Bon Jovi. He has a whole other theory. I'm not going to dive into it because
Gotcha.
we could do
I'll
a
look it
Bon
up.
Jovi podcast,
Yeah.
actually, because I love them.
Yeah.
I love their old stuff, man. Runaway and all that stuff.
My kids roll their eyes when they get in the
Uh-huh.
car with me because it's
Yeah.
80s pop and rock.
Yeah, me
all
too,
day
man.
long.
So I think if we ever start a band, we know what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right, brother, let's get into this. If you hadn't become a musician, what would you be doing?
Either a choir director or an optometrist.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you have
when I was
aspirations as a kid?
when I was a little kid, yeah, I got glasses in the 5th grade, and I was wrestling at the time. I was an amateur wrestler, and I'd won a match, and I'd gone up to the bleachers to see my mom, and I said, "What did I win by?" And she says, "Cory, it's still up on the scoreboard." And I said, "Well, I can't see that far." So she took me to the optometrist, and it was just like, "Oh my God."
Hmm.
I'll never go without glasses again. They're the first thing
Wow.
on my face and the
Mhm.
last thing to come off before I go to bed. You know, it is the opposite of what Fernando said. Remember him on Saturday Night Live? It was Billy. He was, "It's better to look good than to feel good, darling." And I've always thought it's better to look bad and see good than see good or see bad and look good.
That's right.
You know, I'd rather
Yeah.
be 4 eyes.
And you thought you would maybe be an optometrist to help other people?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You've always had a benevolent spirit from what I remember, man. You're always all about helping somebody else, but if you got to line somebody out, you're going to do it without a moment's hesitation.
Yeah, my childhood brought a lot of that out. You know,
Yeah.
growing up in a fairly rough neighborhood in the middle of nowhere, Posey County, and being the poor kid at Catholic school
And the little kid.
and the little kid, and you know, I had to scrap quite a bit,
Mhm.
and you know, at some point in time, you get tired of taking lumps, and you figure out that if you're just nice to people and you don't let your mouth smart off
That's right.
at the drop of a hat, you're probably going to be a lot safer.
The law of reciprocity, man. You get what
Absolutely.
you give.
Yeah,
Even if they're not giving it to you, if you give it to them, there's a point where they can't give it to you anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good thing. A lot of people don't know this about me, but until I was 20 years old, I was 5'6" and 125 pounds.
Yeah.
And now I'm 6 foot tall and 220 pounds. It's crazy, man. I hit puberty really late, but when I did, man.
I'm still waiting.
Still holding
I'm
out.
still waiting.
Have you tried plugging your nose and blowing on your
Yeah,
thumb?
yeah. I've done all that. I've been on the racks that stretch you.
Yeah, nothing works.
Shoveled steaks and cold beer down my gullet. And
I think at this point you should just be happy with who you are. I think your wife loves you as long as you keep the beard, from what I understand.
yes, yeah. My Peter Pan existence is just fine by me.
That's right. That's good, man. All right, so you'd be an optometrist or a choir director?
Yes.
So like at a school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My mom was a Catholic choir director, and that's how I got involved in performing. She would put me in front of a church full of people at the age of 4.
Nice.
And then would teach me harmony parts. Catholic music, there's a lot of descant, what they call descant parts.
Yeah.
So I would be the boy in the choir singing the real high descant point part. And then when I got to high school, it was an opportunity for me to reinvent myself. I wasn't in the same classroom with the same 24 people that, had
From the Catholic school?
yes, yeah, that had been picking on me for 8 years.
Sure.
So I didn't want to join the choir. My mom made me join the choir, and come to find out, I was good at it. I didn't, nobody had told me that hey, you're hearing these
This is the
harmonies,
thing,
and
yeah.
you can do this, and this is most importantly, it's a way for a scrawny, 4-eyed, buck-toothed kid from nowhere, Posey County, to meet girls.
Yeah. Heck
So,
yeah. Yeah. So did that come naturally to you to be able to sing harmony and stuff? She would show it to you, or was there a lot of technicality?
No, I think it, it came fairly simple because Mom was constantly singing, so I wasn't going to out-sing her, so I had to sing with her.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And, so...
You have any brother and sisters that sing or play?
My younger sister sings. My older brother doesn't really sing and doesn't really play, but I don't know that. I think that's just something that has never interested him.
Mm-hmm. He just never dove into it.
Yeah, he was into athletics and the like.
Sure.
My sister was and still is an excellent singer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. In fact, I've had her fill in on a couple of gigs. That
really?
Yeah.
So does she sing or play with anybody or do any of that?
No.
She's the best singer in her car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at karaoke night. She lives in Rockwall, Texas now. So,
oh, okay.
She teaches history down there and
nice.
And likes to sing karaoke.
Nice, man. So I grew up. It's always interesting to me because I grew up in a family where my dad had I could count them out, but probably 6 brothers and 2 sisters, 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and they all sang. And then they all had kids, and we all sang. And then we all had kids, and they all sang. And then my grandpa's brother married my grandma's sister, and they had 6 kids, and they all sang. So when you go to my family reunion, it's like the Darlin family reunion from Andy Griffith, and there's like 50 people. You have to take turns in groups to go up and do stuff because there's so many people. And so for me, like going out in the world, when I first took off and went to Nashville in like 2000, I went down and I'm working with these guys. I'm like, yeah, man, okay, so you sing this harmony and I'll sing this one and you sing the lead on this song. And they're like, I don't know how to sing harmony. And for me, I was just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
How do you not know how to sing?
Yeah.
I mean, there were times at my house where you had to sing. My dad would go, all right, here is 2 songs. This is the Little River Band, and this is the Eagles. You sing the 7th, and you sing the 3rd, and you sing the 5th, and I'll sing the lead, and get your parts, and then we're going to sing them. My dad taught me how to sing and taught me to hear it. And so I'm that way too. So cool. So yeah, man, harmonies.
I have made a career out of being a singing bass player. My bass playing is, I don't feel like I'm a great bass player. I feel like I'm a good bass player just due to who I've been able to play with. But the vocal thing, like if I could tell any musician starting out to do one thing to further their career, it's learn how to sing and learn how to sing harmony.
Yeah, that was my next question.
You know, because if there are two bass players in the room and one is really really good and he doesn't sing, and one guy is competent and can sing,
They're going
guess
to pick
who's
him.
getting the job?
Yep.
The guy that can sing.
That's right.
That's the way of the world.
Yeah. So let me ask that question then, and you just answered it, but I'll edit it in. So if you could give any new musician starting out one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah. Learn to sing.
Learn to sing.
Learn to sing.
Yeah, I agree.
Learn how to also, learning how to communicate musically. You don't have to learn theory, although I did, but learn how to communicate. Know the difference between a G chord and a C chord.
And learn numbers, right? Learn the numbers charts.
I have done numerous gigs where it was
1, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's your 7 chord, there's your 6 chord, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And that's all you need.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
if
you
people
need.
don't get that, I've been on gigs where people don't get that, and I'm like, it's just a 1, 4, 5, and they're like, I don't know what that means, and I'm like, how did you get this gig? What are you doing here?
And what's funny is it can be explained cogently inside of 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, you know Jason Holder?
Yeah.
So Jason is I would say he's a savant and a genius.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's one of those guys that
I went to high school with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he used to play bass in my band, and we would go on a gig, and the further away it was, I'm like, I want to ride with Jason, because dude, I would be smarter by the time we got to the gig. I knew more stuff because he's super smart, and I love that guy like a brother, man.
We had the same mentor. We were both in choir, and our choir director, Dana Taylor, is a world-class bass player.
Okay.
So when he was in his late teens and early 20s, he was Nina Simone's bass player.
Oh, wow.
And recorded with her, toured with her. Then
and he lives in Poseyville, right? Or
he lives in
did.
Mount Vernon.
Okay.
He used to live in Mount Vernon. I believe he lives in Newburgh. He's one of the foremost lighting theatrical lighting instructors.
Okay.
In the country. Now he's one of these guys that is just a genius, and he convinced me. He's who made me a professional. I was playing, and I was learning rock songs, tape recorder, stop, rewind, stop, play,
Those were the
stop,
days, man.
rewind, stop, play, trying to figure out 3 notes in a half an hour. And he says, Cory, you're playing. If you can learn how to read music in 3 months, I'll get you a job. Well, I'd played trombone as a kid, and I told him that, and he says, well, you know how to read bass clef. Now you just need to apply it to the neck of your bass and read the music. And so I did, and he got me a theater job at the age of 16 playing Cole Porter music. And this was my introduction to the music industry. It was a 3-piece band. It was Terry Becker was the musical director and piano player. He's an iconic choir director and musician in Evansville. Greg Martin was playing drums.
Oh, man.
And here I come in my ponytail on Monday for Tech Week. My ponytail, hat on backwards.
Probably Metallica t-shirt.
Yeah,
on.
oh yeah, Guns N' Roses and ripped jeans and Dana's. I think it was like a 71p bass. And Terry set the music down, which I'd already had for like a month and a half, and Dana had been working on it. Terry sets the music in front of me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, I hear you're really good, kid. If you can't handle this by Thursday, we'll find somebody who can. Now, relax and let's have fun.
No pressure.
Goes, sits behind the piano, says, kick it off, Greg. And Greg goes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was it. I was
deep in instantly.
Yes. Thankfully, it was
nice.
Cole Porter music and wasn't anything modern.
Yeah.
It was, manageable.
It was four on the floor.
Yes.
Kind of just go get it.
Yeah.
You know Toby Ellis?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I played
Toby does a lot of theater stuff.
Yeah, I played on a couple of tracks. Been playing in Toby's band, Toby Ellis and the Breakdown.
Yeah.
We did a couple of singles a few years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. He's on a week from this Sunday. He's
Sweet.
coming on.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's so cool that, not to get off subject, but all of you guys, as soon as I ask you, I'm like, dude, I'm doing this podcast. You want to do it? You're like, heck yeah, I want to do it, man. That's great. Everybody's been the same way. So I try to not have Kool-Aid on my own lip. I'm like, I'm nobody, man. But everybody's saying yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And I love it, man. I love that I have this platform to bring you guys on.
Who doesn't like to talk about themselves?
That's true.
You
That
know?
is true,
Yeah.
man. That's
Who doesn't
true.
like to talk about themselves?
Yeah, that's right. All right. So did you have a moment? Like, did you just give me your light bulb moment, or what was your light bulb moment when you went, I think I want to do this. I really want to do this.
After that first weekend of playing that Cole Porter show,
Mhm.
I did a Friday night performance, I did a Saturday night performance, and I did a Sunday afternoon performance. And they handed me a check for $450. And at the age of 16, I had been working flipping burgers at Dairy Queen, actually feeding burgers, frozen patties onto the line, and
Yeah.
then putting the pickles and onions. And I thought, man, I'm not flipping any more burgers. If
Yeah.
I can do this,
Whatever I gotta do with
if
my
I
hands.
can do this, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Nice.
I was already obsessed with the instrument, so it was, I was going to play.
Sure.
I was going to play.
So what was your first bass that you owned? Your first bass guitar?
I bought a Aria Pro Cat bass and a Gorilla GB20 from Chuck Gianoli.
Nice.
And I had been detasseling corn, so I had enough money. And he, rest his soul, he took me for $300 for that $100
Both.
guitar and $50 amplifier. But I was thrilled. I had something to play,
Sure.
and I still have that instrument. I ripped the frets out of it as soon as I got my first Fender. Of course, I took that $450 and flipped it into
A better bass.
a better bass and
In
a
the
better
Aria Pro,
amplifier.
is that kind of a Rickenbacker knockoff a little bit?
No, it was a PJ bass, and it was more like what an Ibanez is now.
Okay. Yeah, so with
Ibanez
the-
at the time was
With the P
making
pickups and the long jazz
and the
pickup at the bottom.
and the jazz bass
Yeah.
pickup.
Okay, I kind of remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's a cool bass, man. Aria Pro. Those were
Aria
the rock
Pro.
and roll stuff.
I think their big artist at the time was Rudy Sarzo.
A little nobody in the bass world.
Yeah, he was playing an Aria Pro.
Dude.
So as soon as I saw Aria Pro,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I want that.
Mhm. And then you played it and went, wow, it's tearing my fingers
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Why are the strings this far off the
Right.
fingerboard?
I could slide through between the neck and the strings on that thing. That's cool. So, what is it about music that makes you feel so passionate?
Oh, that's hard to say because it has always been the biggest part of my life. There has never been a moment where there isn't a song or a tune or a melody or a bass line running through my head at any point in time. Even, my favorite things to do outside of music is I love to deer hunt
Mm-hmm.
and I love to fish. And typically you do those in silence. Well, in my head the whole time is
there's music going.
I think when I found the bass guitar, I started playing guitar. Some guys wanted me to sing for their rock and roll band because they had heard me at a school function, and they didn't have a bass player. And I thought, how hard could it be? It's just four strings and one
strings.
note. I'm already, I've been playing guitar for a couple of months, and I know 6 chords.
Says every guitar player. I can play
Absolutely.
bass.
But as soon as I grabbed it, I realized that I had always been listening to the bass lines. I could sing the bass lines of any song, and I didn't realize that until I actually had the instrument in my hand. And as soon as I was able to connect that instrument to what I was hearing, it was like that's all I want to do.
Nice.
And it's still like that today. That feeling of playing a low E and feeling the stage
Mm-hmm. And
rumble.
you made that happen.
I made that happen.
Yeah.
Especially seeing people dancing to that,
Yeah.
to a line that I've got percolating.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's
Yeah.
where it's at.
You're just standing in the back
That's
doing your thing.
that's where it's at for me.
So my brother Mike was on. I don't know if you watched that podcast yet, but he said the same thing. I think we all have a tune going in our heads all the time as musicians, especially songwriters, because I mean, I probably write a song a day, whether it's worth a shit or not is another story, but
Right.
I probably write a song a day. And it's like, and my brother Mike said this too, when I lay down in bed at night, I have to mentally go, all right, turn that off,
Yeah.
because I got to go to sleep, you know. And my brother said, he said, yeah, my wife and I got in the car. We were driving to Colorado, and we didn't have the radio on. It was, you know, we were going on vacation. They live in Kansas City, and he said we were driving to Colorado, and he said I looked over at her and I said, hey, what song do you have going in your head right now? And he said, she just looked at me and went, what? I don't have a song going in my head. And I told my wife that, and she's like, I mean, I would have said the same thing because neither one of them are musicians.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he's like, I had 2 or 3 songs going in my head. I was thinking about, you know, probably a Beatles song somewhere, and then had this idea for a song going because we saw this truck broke down on the side of the road and this guy fixing it and his lady standing there impatiently waiting. That's a song.
There it is.
And he's like, so at any given moment in the day, I have a million songs going off in my head.
For me, you know, working in a guitar shop, I'm inundated with sounds. So if you hop in my car with me, it's the radio's tuned to NPR.
Nice.
And
because you just hear that all the time.
and I have this thing going on in my head. My wife, a lot of times when we're traveling, I will be doing this
Running
with my left.
scales.
I'm playing a bass line with my left hand, and I'm plucking the strings with my right hand. And she's always like, "Can you please put your hands on the steering wheel and get me safely where I need to go?" You know?
Are you playing along with the radio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of times it's that, or it's just, you know, something I've been working on, and you know, I'm trying to.
Yeah. Your muscle is working.
I'm a big believer in that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think when you meet high level musicians, and when you hear people say, "Well, I just need to be able to hear it and know what my starting note is."
Yeah.
They have the system of mathematics figured out in their head. So they've got the relative pitch in their head. They know what 1-4-5 sounds like. They can go to the 6. They can go to the 2-5 turnaround.
Right.
Whatever, and then, you know, it's getting that muscle memory. I remember reading an interview with Billy Sheehan, who was one of my early influences, of course.
Mr. Big's going on tour again.
I know. I saw them on open for Bryan Adams back in like '93 or '94 when that record came out.
Here.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to that too.
I got to meet Eric Martin at the mall. I was buying my girlfriend at the time a Christmas present. I was getting her a necklace at a jewelry place.
And he was just chilling in the cafe court?
Yes, he was just chilling out there, and I walked up to him and had him sign my band card and all that stuff, and
Nice.
I still have that. But he had talked about not playing open strings. So, and I wondered why. Why not play open strings? Well, if you get on a job, now I understand, and I'm glad I took his advice just at face value. So if I was playing an A, it was at the 5th fret on the E string, and I was learning the bass line.
Yeah.
Everything fretted. So you go on a job, the singer that you've never worked with before, playing a song that you know, says, "Well, I don't do this in the original key.
You can just move down the neck.
I play it in G instead of A." Well, now you've got the muscle memory
To move anywhere on the neck.
to move anywhere on the neck and play it. And I didn't realize at the time that you know, I was training you to be a studio player and a working pro.
Yeah.
So I've lived by that and been kind of proselytizing on that
Yeah.
ever since. You
That's
know.
good.
Stay away
Keeps
from the
you
open
busy.
notes. Yeah,
Yeah,
stay away
stay
from the
away.
open.
I will attest to that as a bass player. I learned young, play up the neck. Don't play an open string because for one, it rattles out a lot more than you think, and for another, you can play anywhere on the neck when somebody pulls out a capo, you don't get lost.
It's got a lot more weight too. If you're playing, you can play an open D on your D string and
Mhm.
then fret it at the fifth fret on your A string, and it's just got more girth. It's got more,
It's thicker,
yeah,
punchier.
it's thicker. It sounds better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah. If you could pick two singers that you emulated from the time you were young, who would they be?
Easily Chris Robinson and Corey Glover.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were my two guys when I started
I love
fronting
both
rock
of those
bands.
guys,
It was,
man.
I wanted that bluesy, you know, um, the bluesy tenor. I've got this
Sure.
tenor voice. I wanted it to sound more masculine than what I was doing in choir because Dana, bless his heart, had me singing alto most of the time
Yeah.
because I could, and he had a friend of mine who was a female alto singing tenor because she could.
Hmm.
It balanced out the color and the timbre of
Sure.
the choir, but those guys were high tenors that
But they had some
it,
guts.
yeah, it still sounded really masculine,
Yeah.
and that's what I wanted at the time, of
Yeah.
course.
Corey Glover was just fearless, man. I
I
mean, Chris Robinson
It
was
was
too.
he was a big reason why, and Living Color in general was a big reason why I started playing rock and roll and wanted to be in a rock and roll band.
Nice. That's why
Seeing
you and Ed Sign are such good friends, too.
absolutely. When I first met him in '98, we were talking about music, and he asked me, what got you into rock and roll? I said, seeing Living Color on SNL. They did.
I remember that.
Oh,
Yeah.
they came out
They did
and
Cult of Personality and they did
Letter to a Landlord.
Letter to a Landlord. Yep.
Mhm. They
Yeah.
sure did, and in all their spandex glory,
Uh-huh.
the body glove,
Yeah, that dude.
wetsuits,
I went out and
and
bought one of those after that, and I was like 120 pounds soaking wet.
yeah,
But I wore it anyway,
yeah.
man.
I remember Muzz Skilling walking around, and he almost looked like a flamingo. His real long
Yeah.
legs. He had white pants on, and he kept kicking his heels up to his butt as he's walking around
Playing
playing.
bass. Yeah, what a monster bass player,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
That whole band is just massive.
He's still a legend in the New York scene. He's still,
Yeah.
still working,
Yeah,
still
man.
doing it. Living Color wasn't his thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you could collaborate with anybody in the industry, alive or dead, one person, who would it be?
Hendrix.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be that fearless,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I,
Yeah.
I, I think musicians like me that have learned theory, I'm a self taught player that slowly accumulated theoretical knowledge. But you get to a certain point where you almost become encumbered by that theoretical knowledge because you know it's going to work every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to
Oh,
work.
it's foolproof.
It completely is. The system of mathematics, when Pythagoras came up with the even tempered scale
Mm-hmm.
way back, it was perfect and it works all the time. Players like Hendrix that were able to basically know what they were doing, but still be able to disregard everything that they've
Mm-hmm.
been taught on the bandstand and just go for it.
That's where it really happens, man.
You
When
know?
you leave that behind and go, I know this is what I'm doing and it works, but I got to go here.
Frank Zappa was another one that
Oh,
was like
yeah.
that like very, very structured arrangements.
Yeah.
And
Jeff Buckley.
yes, play and,
Yep.
and they worked their bands into the dirt,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would get on stage and improv.
Yeah,
all
because they could.
Yep.
I mean, Dave Matthews is the same way. He
Yeah.
does the same thing. That's great, man. That's awesome. Jimi Hendrix.
Yep.
Do you have one all-time favorite song?
I would say yes. Probably the song that makes me emotional every time I hear it is "Sometimes It Snows in April" by Prince.
That's a great song.
You can hear the piano bench creak in the middle of that song, and he's crying while he's singing
Yeah,
it.
and you can hear it
You
in
can
his
hear
voice.
you can hear that crack in his voice, and you can hear the piano bench creak as he's trying to make himself comfortable, and it gets me every time. Followed closely by the Lacrimosa from Mozart's Requiem.
Oh wow,
That's
another great one.
another piece that, like,
Yeah,
you know,
two very different ends of the
you
spectrum.
want to see a grown
but
man cry, throw one of those
play
two
that
songs on.
Yeah, yeah. So, what's your go-to song to jam out to in the car?
Oh, to jam out to in the car. If I ever lose my faith in you off of Sting's 10 Summoner's Tales.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's one of those records and one of those songs that, regardless of how many times I've heard it, I'm still playing drums with Vinny Colaiuto.
In my head,
You
right
know,
now.
when he and crashes that first time, it's just like,
Yeah.
and again, the production, the
Gosh,
musicianship,
that whole album, but that song,
everybody
man.
that Dominic Miller on guitar, Vinny Colaiuto on drums, Sting playing bass, and it's just perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, and is Hung My Head's not on that album, is it?
No,
that's on the next album. Yeah, but that song too, man. Gosh,
that's one of those. I talk with my colleagues all the time about perfect records. You know, perfect records may not be my favorite records, and they may not even be my style of music, but
from front to back,
yeah, you don't turn them off at any point in time.
By John Mayer.
Yeah, Boston's first album.
Yeah,
you know, turn that on. How many times?
That's my go-to.
How many times can you shut it down during the third song and just walk away from it?
Can't. You gotta listen to the whole thing.
You gotta listen to the whole thing, and then the next song starts, and you're like, well, I gotta listen to the whole thing. This one.
That's a disease we have. My wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I can't get out of the car till the song is over."
But I've got some records that friends of mine that I feel like are perfect records that my friends are like, oh God, no.
Well, it's not for everybody.
Weezer's Blue Album.
That's a great record.
I can put that on, and it does not get turned off until the end.
Yeah.
And you can start it over again, and I'll enjoy it just as much a second time.
It's just like when Tombstone's on TV at the beginning, right? You got to watch it.
Yeah.
It could be midnight and you're like, I'm going to bed, but what's on? Oh, crap. Tombstone just started, man.
Yeah, you break out the shot glasses and start doing your.
Yeah. I guess I got to watch it, but it's the same with music. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Boston's first album is definitely one of those.
There's lots of them.
I think we may have covered this, but what song do you think is the best written song, and why do you think that?
Okay. The best written song. I hesitate. Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground by Willie Nelson. You know, again, it's one of those songs that starts off very plaintive, and it starts to paint the picture, and it grows.
That's a great song.
And then it paints more of the picture, and your heart's breaking the whole time.
Yeah.
But you can't stop watching it. You can't stop watching this scene in your head, and you can't stop listening to it because, you know, it's that well crafted. You know, the guitar solo is just amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Willie Nelson, in my opinion, is one of the greatest guitar players and vocalists that ever walked the planet.
I mean, he's been doing it longer than we've been alive.
Absolutely.
And still doing it.
And, you know, I think about singers, pardon me, I think about singers like him and Hendrix that aren't traditionally considered great singers, but no one delivers a song as well. You know, they just don't deliver songs as well. I don't care if you can hit the big high operatic note or sing with so much power and force that you know, people's ears are peeled back. You know, can you deliver the song? Willie Nelson's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's a deliverer. I don't know, man. I just get captivated. I get captivated by Willie Nelson. Anything he does, I just listen to it forever. And then stuff with, you know, like Sean Mullins is another one. So that's great.
Yeah, Sting's another artist that I feel like is very literary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you listen to one of my favorite lines ever in any song I've ever heard, "Fields of Gold" off of Ten Summoners Tales.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he wrote the line, "Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold."
Yeah.
You know, and like you experience that with him in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. That is perfect songwriting.
Yeah.
That's really the imagery that you want to get out.
I'm glad you came on today, man. That's you. When I talk to people that are so like-minded, it reminds me of how great life is and how great we had it growing up, drinking out of the water hose
Oh
and
yeah.
ramping our bikes off of milk crate ramps, and you know that's great, man. I'm glad you came out today. So who is your all-time favorite artist?
Um, All time favorite artist. See, that's so hard because it just depends. Roy Orbison, probably.
Nice.
I would say Roy Orbison. I've spent more time listening to Roy Orbison than probably anyone else.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. My dad was not musical at all. In fact, was um, not quite anti-music, but uh, it just wasn't on his radar. You hop in his truck, the radio's not on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, never understood my passion for music. I think he's accepted it over the years.
Sure.
Um, but he loved Roy Orbison. He loved Johnny Cash. He loved Willie Nelson. So
My dad too. All
you know, if I could connect with him, you know, of course, your dad's your hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're a kid, and hopefully as an adult, you know, and he definitely is that to me. But he would always talk about, you know, you know, if you could sing like Roy Orbison, then you'd really be something. So I
Dude, I'm
started
having a
listening
deja vu
to,
moment. This
I'd
is
start listening to Roy Orbison.
because you can.
And, you know, so I get a job at the age of 13 detasseling, and Walkmans came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I earned enough money my first week to buy myself a Walkman. And I had Roy Orbison's greatest hits on
Hmm.
cassette. And I had B.B. King's Live at Cook County Jail on cassette. And I would tuck those, put one
One
in my Walkman
and
and
one in
one in
your
my
pocket.
pocket. And I would work these cornfields pulling tassels, doing this absolute slave child labor
Yeah, I did
for
the same
you know 8 to 12 hours, and
for like $6 a
yeah,
day or something.
bleeding hands,
Riding in a bus with no windows in it.
sunburnt back, and yeah, you know, some nasty 14-year-old kid from that was smoking cigarettes the whole
Uh-huh.
time you're working.
Yeah, they were
but
teaching his character.
yes, but I would listen to those two. You know, I would listen to Roy
Back to
Orbison,
back.
and then I'd pop out B.B. King live. In
So,
the
what's your
Cook County
favorite
Jail.
Roy Orbison song then?
It's over.
Oh, what a good song!
The end of that, it's over, it's
Uh-huh.
over, it's over, and
Yeah.
then he hits. I mean, the money shot
Yeah,
right
man.
at the end.
How about
why-
Leah? Or is it
Oh,
called Leah?
Leah, yeah,
Yeah.
Leah's another.
I remember my dad used to sing that. My dad sings and plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a good singer,
In
man.
Dreams, that's another.
Yeah.
like,
I mean, there's so many, right?
everyone.
You can't really, but that's how it is with like, who's your favorite artist? With guys like us, it's like, well, which genre?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't, you know, you don't want to do anybody a disservice, right? So, well, cool, man. Roy Orbison. That's good. We got a few more questions.
All right.
What would you consider is your biggest accomplishment to date musically?
That's hard to say. My biggest accomplishment.
Maybe what was the thing you were most proud of that you've done?
But playing at the IBC finals on the Orpheum Theater stage in front of, you know, a couple thousand people who all play the blues, and being recognized as being good at that, you know, was pretty special.
As a bass player, especially.
Yeah, because it you know, you looked out in the crowd and there's Sugar Ray Rayford and Tamiki Copeland and
Right.
you know, all these blues heavyweights, Walter Trout's sitting out there in the crowd. uh, playing the Mother Mesker Jam at the age of 19.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I got to play in front of 2,500 people, and I get off stage. I had a absolutely gorgeous girlfriend at the time, and I'd gone up to the top of the Mesker Bowl, and I had my arm around my girlfriend, and my mom's there. I got a bunch of friends, and I dropped an F bomb. You know, I was really excited. I dropped an F bomb, and my mom smacked the crap out of me. And all I could say was, "I'm sorry, Mama." And my buddy looks at her and goes, "He just played for 2,500 people." She was like, and he said the F word in front of his mama.
That's right.
You know, she was, it was like, here I was, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a rock star. I got long hair and a
And
couple
what year was that?
tattoos. 93.
Yeah.
Yeah, 93.
Yeah. And you were still just Cory Folz from Poseyville.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your mom was standing there.
Yep.
I never said the F bomb in front of my mom, dude. Same thing would happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I played Mesker once. I opened for Travis Tritt there.
Okay.
We did the Grill for the Thrill
Yeah.
thing. Gosh, 2003. One of the last years it was open. Yeah, me and Jason Holder and Larry Cadell was playing guitar, and John
Yeah.
was playing drums.
Yeah.
And Art Woodward played harmonica.
Art the dude.
Yep. It was awesome. It was fun, man. All right. You already gave your advice. So, okay. So what's next for you? What's going on this year with you?
Creating, going to announce an auxiliary record with Briscoe and the Skinny. He's got a lot of things going on, so we've got something cool coming out very soon. Working on original material with Cynthia Murray in the End Times. I'm really looking forward to that. Lots of big festival and town gigs with Whiskey Row. Getting my own home personal studio set up so that I can start pursuing songwriting again. You know, when I first started playing, that's what it was all about for me, was being a creative. And I got caught up in accumulated enough skills to be able to play every weekend on the cover band circuit. So I was making money. I was
So you
able to
just
buy
jumped
gear, and you know, nothing kills creativity more than just getting so busy that you don't make time for that. Yeah, getting into that and being.
So do you
a bit
write
more.
write on acoustic then?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Written a couple songs on piano, although I'm not a piano player. It's really hard for me to write on bass. Anything that isn't like blues riff based,
Sure.
and that's not
And you
really.
get stuck in one direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next thing you know, everything sounds like the Black Crowes' second album.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Which is not a bad thing.
no, it's not a bad thing at all.
But it's not you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I primarily write on acoustic guitar.
Cool.
Cynthia Murray in the End Times is on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you know, we do have a page on there. I believe they're going to get a website up and running.
Squarespace. That's the quickest and easiest.
Yeah.
And it's $100 a year.
Yeah, of course, Brick Briscoe and the Skinny .com. You can find that on Bandcamp, which is the preferred method because then we actually get paid.
Nice.
And or any of the streaming services. You know, I have a personal Facebook page that I keep updated with gigs, usually a few days out. I try not to inundate people because I gig so much, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't.
You start feeling like a telemarketer after a while, don't you?
I'm a salesman by day. I don't want
Sure.
to necessarily be a salesman by night too.
Sure. So then with Drew and the guys in Whiskey Row, same deal, right? You guys have a Facebook page.
Yes, we sure do. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can find us on Facebook
And the Valcos. I
and
mean,
the
for the
Valcos.
few gigs a year you guys do now.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've kind of pared that down to a couple times a month. But yeah, we're still rolling, still learning songs. And
Cool.
Yeah, I don't see that ending anytime soon.
Yeah. No, man. No, the Valcos will never end. It'll just change players at some point to
Yeah.
the next guys, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really cool thing, man. It's
Yeah.
super cool. Well, I'd love to know the next time you guys are playing. I'd love to come and sing a couple songs with you or something. That'd be a blast.
Excellent. I'll hit you up for that.
Yeah, killer. All right. Well, Cory, thank you so much for coming
Thanks a
on,
lot,
brother.
Tim.
Yeah. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning into the Stories and Songs podcast. As always, I'm Tim Ash, and I'm your host, and you've been watching Stories and Songs. See you in the next one.